Have you experienced just a roller coaster when you're going through a spiritual growth?
On today's show, we're going to be talking about our own experience going through the spiritual growth. So stay tuned.
It's Awaken Your Spirit. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Awaken Your Spirit. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez Garcia. And our show's about inspiration, motivation, and developing the mindset to live a happy and abundant life.
We are live here every week, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. If you guys would like to join us on the show, we do this show on Facebook and on YouTube. You can just follow us at Aaron and Veronica. If you'd like to subscribe to the show, make sure you get the live notification button so you never miss an episode when we go live. So today, we're going to be talking about that spiritual growth journey that some of you may have gone through, that you might be going through right now. We're going to share our own experiences. But before we get into that, we always like to start off with our first segment of our show, which is our inspirational moment with Veronica.
So inspirational moments is when I like to read something inspirational. And today I have a book here that I want to share. It's called You Can Heal Your Life, and it's by Louise Hay. And here's the cover. It's very colorful. And the paragraph or the paragraph from this section is called Each Moment is a New Beginning. I repeat, the point of power is always in the present moment. You are never stuck. This is where the changes take place, right here and right now in our own minds. It doesn't matter how long we have had a negative pattern or an illness or a poor relationship, or lack of finances, or self-hatred. We can begin to make a shift today. Your problem no longer needs to be the truth for you. It can now fade back into the nothingness from whence it came. You can do it. Remember, you are the only person who thinks in your mind. You are the power and authority of your world. Your thoughts and beliefs of the past have created this moment and all the moments up to this moment. What you are now choosing to believe and think and say will create the next moment and the next day and the next month and the next year. Yes, you, darling. I can give you the most marvelous advice coming from my years of experience, yet you can continue to choose to think the same old thoughts. You can refuse to change and keep all your problems. You are the power in your world. You get to have whatever you choose to think. This moment begins the new process. Each moment is a new beginning, and this moment is a new beginning for you right here and right now. Isn't that great to know? This moment is a point of power. This moment is where the change begins.
So let's make a change. I like that. The moment of the power is right now, and anything that we want to change for tomorrow is what we're doing right now in this moment. That's the power of the present, the power of now.
Yeah.
And so it's very interesting. If you guys enjoyed the inspirational moment for today, make sure you give us some hearts, give us some likes. And if you know that there's anybody that can benefit from the message of the show today, make sure you invite somebody in here to the show or tag them, because we never know who this message is going to impact.
And sometimes, when you tune into something and you hear a message, it's like the right message that you need to hear for that day. So if you found that inspirational moment, beneficial to you, or it might be beneficial to someone else, please share.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for being here with us. And if you guys have any comments, any questions, make sure you type those here into the feed. Let us know that you're coming from. Say hi so we can say hello to you as well. And if you're new to the show, type new here into the comments. We'd love to welcome you to your first episode here on Awaken Your Spirit. All right. Today, we're talking about the ups and downs of spiritual growth. And man, can they have some ups, and then we can have some downs. And this has been some of our experiences as we've gone through this process over the last few years, and even longer, but at least more focused in the last few years for us.
Yeah. And, we all have different experiences, and it just depends how you perceive things and your attitude towards it and how you handle it.
Absolutely. So when we talk about spiritual growth, is what could, and that can mean so many different things to so many different people. And from our perspective, we talk about awakening your spirit. It's awakening that light that's within us. It's that true part of us that really wants to express, that can create and do anything here in this world. And a lot of times that gets suppressed through years of experience, through programming from other people, your environment that goes on around you, what you watch, what you listen to. And it's that creativity that wants to express itself. Maybe it wants to show itself in art. Maybe it wants to show itself in an expression and voice. Whatever that is as we are awakening and opening ourselves up, part of that process is a growth process.
Yeah.
And that spirit of us is that part of us, that spark that wants to shine.
And anytime that we're putting ourselves out there to, to do something greater, to live your dreams, you're growing spiritually, because you're creating. And in that creation is where, where all the magic happens, because you're going to go through challenges and you're going to go through, all kinds of things that maybe you didn't expect. So that's where the change and the growth happens, which embrace the changes and embrace those challenges.
Yeah. And some of us go through those knowingly. And we know we're going through a growth process right now. And some, it just happens to them. We've come across a lot of people where they just started to have all these different experiences, heightened awareness. Maybe they've had like from visions to hearing things. And what's happened is making a major shift in their life. And they don't know what to do with that, because it's like that when you have this awaken expansion of the consciousness, especially at such a rapid rate, it can be very overwhelming for people. It's a lot of energy that we can actually take in.
Yeah, and it's different for everyone, I would say, because growing spiritually, that could just be letting go of all the past hurts and everything, and that helps your spirit. It helps you to grow spiritually, and it's you're living more peaceful. You're living more in a state of calm, and completely different to all the chaotic energy that was there before. So it's really you tune into other people, and you're feeling more, and you want a more sense of communion and collaboration with others.
Yeah. Say hello to a few people joining with us. We have Stephen Smith is joining. Says,
hey, Stephen.
Hello, I'm ready to learn and grow on this episode. #Awaken Your Spirit. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
He says he's watching from Sarasota, Florida. So let us know where you're coming from, you guys, when you type your comments here into the feed. And this spiritual growth process, it can really take you on that roller coaster, as I was mentioning earlier. And you're going to have days where you just feel just very blissful, peaceful. It's like nothing can go wrong. You are invincible. And then you have those moments where it's like everything just seems to shut down. It's like one wrong thing happens after the next. You can go from feeling really good to feeling just really horrible. And you go through this bit of a process. And that's when we feel it's a bit of that growth. Is you're going through some challenges. You're going through a growth period, which can be very uncomfortable, because it can mean a lot of change. And part of that is letting go. Yeah. Is that part of us that, think of like a birth. The birth for babies can be a very traumatic, very uncomfortable experience, as they're transitioning from very comfort in the womb and going through that birthing process into the world. And it's like, it's a whole new change. And even that, what they consider that death process, can be uncomfortable for people as well. And we go through that almost constantly. It's like we are constantly going through a rebirth of who we are. If you are into the personal growth, you are always looking to, how can I improve myself? And we go through this growth period where we have to like let the old part of us die off, and the new part of us to be reborn. And that can be uncomfortable. And
the way I see it, it's like an internal battle between the ego and your soul, like your spirit, because the ego, thinks it's just I, me, and you feel like it's like you're separate from everyone else. But then spirit is we're all one, and it's like that battle of like, well, I don't like what that person's doing, and kind of maybe looking at the faults of others, and then but then there's stuff within you that you don't like about yourself. And when you realize that everybody, we're all one, we're all the same energy, then it kind of, when you can really embrace that, it really changes the way you see other people. And if you know and realize like we're all brothers and sisters and come from that same source energy, it's a different experience when you look at other people, and even though you don't agree with what they're doing, it's like you have more compassion towards them.
Yeah. And again, that's not always easy sometimes. And part of what we get bothered by, and we could say somebody or so-and-so is doing this and it makes me upset or it makes me bothered in some way. But from our experience, it's understanding what is it that that person is representing in your life that is being put there in front of you to teach you something. And at least for us on our spiritual growth, and I would never consider myself to be a spiritual person in the past. In fact, I think that was that part of me that was always lacking because of just, poor taste that was put into my consciousness, my point of view. I was never brought up around that. And so I went on programming, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that are like that as well. Until, and then I met Veronica, and she started to bring a bit of that side of it through me. And we're not talking more of just, going to church and doing all these things. That can be a part of that depending on what you guys believe, but is really understanding, wow, we can feel. I've seen this in Veronica. So for me, it was my experience with her was you being able to feel people's energy, meaning that she was able to feel the emotions that people hold on to. She can feel the pains that were going on in their body that they were not expressing or telling anybody, but she can notice that because she was noticing it in me. She was noticing it in people that we came across. And it was something that started to open up my eyes that, wow, there is something greater that I never paid attention to before.
And, going through that process with me and it allowed you to awaken those senses within yourself, because now you can feel people as well now, where before maybe you didn't have that awareness of that you can do that. So it's like it opened up something within you to be able to tap into people and feel, what they're going through, or feel the energies.
Yeah.
And how has that been?
It's been interesting because being able to, it's helped me more to identify and understand myself more. And by being able to feel that is, wow, there's something greater here. I understand that there is something within all of us that we can learn to develop. We can learn to develop our intuition. We can learn to develop and feel just like other people if we make that our focus and train ourselves in that way. But we are all connected, and it's allowed me to expand my awareness and my consciousness. And it's been able to help us with the people that we work with as well. When they're going on their journey or going through some very challenging times in their life, we help them get through emotionally because we can understand what they might be suppressing or repressing that's expressing itself in their outer environment or in their outer world.
Yeah. So it's just paying attention to how we feel and noticing how we feel around other people as well. And are we being judgmental towards others? And if we are, then that's something to pay attention to, because most of the time it is a reflection of what's going on with us on the inside and what we don't like about ourselves. And it's just an awareness. Yeah.
Or all the different triggers that maybe
things,
those experiences that we've all gone through in our life, and things that make us upset. And anytime we see that event happen or someone doing something that reminds us of something that happened to us in the past, it really bothers us. And one of those examples could be like bullying. Maybe somebody was bullied as they were a child, and as they grow up and they see other people that might be getting teased or bullied, it can really, really affect them on an internal level. And we've had clients like this, and I've been there too. But it's those experiences that we all go through. And it's like, how do we grow through that? How can we push through so we don't get so caught up in all these emotions, which could be anger, resentment, guilt, fear, worry, and how many people carry that on an everyday basis? And what does that do to their physical well-being, their mental well-being, their spiritual well-being.
Yeah.
And Stephen says, let me get over here.
Says, I wouldn't say I'm on a spiritual roller coaster as much as I am learning to become balanced and not so attached to painful experiences. There's a lot of serenity involved. Yeah, well, when you not being attached to painful experiences, it's like you're letting go. That's actually helping your spirit to grow. And sometimes like when those emotions come up and you feel one day you feel great and everything, like Aaron mentioned, and then all of a sudden someone comes into your life, or you run into someone and something happens, and then now you're feeling not so great. That's like the spiritual roller coaster that you were talking about, right? Because it's how we feel on the inside, and also what we're projecting out.
Yeah. And it's not like it happens all the time. It's not like Monday you're feeling great, Tuesday you go down, and Wednesday you're back up. You can be on in a really good space mentally, emotionally, for a long period of time, depending on how well you work with that. Everything can just go so great. And it really depends on your outlook of life, your own personality, and the way you think and the way you feel. But we all come across those moments where we get really challenged. And things that go dormant that we weren't paying attention to. We go through many different life experiences, from losing people that we love to changes that happen in the economy. We're all going through a lot of changes right now, and it's when those moments where that really stir us up and we don't know what to do. That's that moment where, okay, how do we push through this? How do we work through this? And those are the moments of growth. It's not when everything's going great. It's when everything kind of goes down. It seems like it's a bit of a struggle.
It's when the challenges appear.
Yeah.
Because with those challenges is it teaches us, well, we're going to push through it. And when you push through it, that's growth, because you're now in a new space, because whatever was there no longer bothers you. So you're not holding on to whatever was there before, and you're a new person. So we're constantly in this, this change. We're always changing. And what the person you were yesterday, you're not the same as the person you are today, because we learn new things all the time, and we experience challenges, we experience life, but it's really enjoying that journey that we're on. And sometimes I've heard people say, don't take life so seriously, because we're here to enjoy life. And why do we create these burdens by holding on to stuff? Why do we create burdens of the need to control, or having things done just a certain way and one way only? Like, we create all those challenges ourselves.
Yeah.
When you really think about it. But when you learn to kind of flow with life and just go on that journey, and it's like living in the moment where you feel more peace, because you're not worried about tomorrow. You're not worried about a year from now. You're living now, and it's just more peaceful that way.
Yeah. And that doesn't happen very easily.
Yeah.
That takes a practice to be in that flow, and just, that state of allowance, that state of surrender we've talked about before. But because that takes a practice, because your stuff is going to come up.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can be in like this very Zen place and feel like you're unstoppable, right? And everything feels great. The sky is blue and the sun is shining, the birds are singing, all this stuff. And then it's like you think nothing can go wrong. And then the storm comes in. You're like, what the hell just happened? And it can get you. Now, the key thing is, like, storms will come.
It's gonna get you.
It's gonna get you. But it's how long do you allow yourself to stay in the storm, and how do we push ourselves through that? And again, as we said, that's where the moment of growth really happens. I mean, you find that you're in that storm often, you're experiencing those downs more than your ups, then that means there's a lesson that we're not learning. We're not letting go of something, and we stay stuck and rigid. Like, it's got to be this way. It's got to work in this fashion, and we're not allowing for the different possibilities. And it can seem like, how do we work through this? Not sure.
But also get excited for that. Like if you're going through something, get excited and know that you're gonna break through this, and something great is gonna happen because of it. So it's like expecting something great to happen, because when those challenges come, there's a big growth that's about to happen, and it's like waiting for like the surprise, like that it's going to help you, but it's in the moment it's uncomfortable because there's a shifting in energy that's occurring, and it's like you're comfortable over here, but going through that change will seem uncomfortable. But once you get through it, then it's like, whoa, like this is awesome.
It's again, it's that dying off process. It's that part of us that's kind of shriveling up and dying away, and it's the cocoon phase, right? It's like that struggle that the butterfly, the caterpillar is going through the cocoon. It's got to force its way out of that cocoon. It's creating there's resistance, there's struggle until it finally breaks free. In that transformation, when that butterfly flies off, like we go through that in different stages of our life. You realize when you're going through that down phase, you're having a bit of a struggle. Imagine you're just going through a cocoon phase right now. And some people, they choose not to fight or resist it and break out of that. They stay stuck in that. And if you're willing to push through that and say, I'm going to learn something great from this, I'm going to come up even better because of this experience that I'm having. You may not know how to get through it, but it's like having that trust and faith that something greater is going to happen because of that. So let's go to the comments here.
Hey, you guys. When I saw that, it reminded me of the Goonies.
Hello, Tiffany Cook. Welcome to the show. I'm going to remove something here just real quick. There we go. Let's go. She says, people are going through their awakenings faster than ever, as it's time for us to wake up. But that means we are on one hell of a fast roller coaster. And sometimes it can come. It's not like you get like these little bite-sized pieces. Right now, it seems like for some of us, it all is coming at once. Like, okay, you want the fast crash course, and you want to get through it much faster. Well, then we're going to bring all your stuff up at once rather than kind of like drip it to you one thing at a time. Let's bring it all together so you can work through it much faster.
Yeah.
And she says she's been on that stage where I'm just so being over this roller coaster. It's been so hard to stay positive when it seems nonstop.
Yeah, and that that could be challenging because if you're trying to stay positive, but there's just so much happening that it just kind of brings you back down. But it's just keeping in mind, knowing like, okay, this is good, and push through it and not giving up on that, because this is growth that needs to happen and this change needs to happen. But understand that it's just change in energy. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. Yeah. It's a change in energy, and going through it will feel so much better afterwards. Once you go through that storm, it will be better. And keep that faith and trust that it is going to be better.
We go through them too. In fact, I just went through one again recently.
So tell us about that experience.
Oh no. But it's that moment where it seems like where nothing seems to be going in the direction that you want it to go. And it's like the frustration builds up, and it's like, okay, what's important for me? We meditate, we get a lot of guidance, and sometimes that guidance doesn't seem so clear. But when you're caught up in these emotional states, maybe you're frustrated, maybe you're angry, maybe you're in the state of worry or anxiety or fear, that completely clouds your intuition. And I can sit there and understanding this whole process, and when I go through these moments,
it goes out the window.
It all goes out the window, right? As I said, you don't think very well when you're in a highly emotional state. And I can be even very rational about it. I can understand what's going on. And when that emotion's there, that energy's there, it's not that easy to always get through it. Yeah. And sometimes you need guidance, you need help. I'll go to Veronica sometimes for help when I feel like I'm ready to let it go. Sometimes I need to just go through a process to allow that energy to expend itself, because it doesn't stay there forever.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is when I go through these moments, it's okay, what's the lesson that I need to be learning here? If I'm bothered by something, it means there's something I'm still not dealing with. And I'm seeing it more and more in my experience. And it seems like it shows up every second of the day. And what happens is you point your focus on everything that might be going wrong. And when you're looking at that, there's no way you're looking for solutions. There's no way you're looking, okay, what's the blessing and all that. It's like you're just thinking everything that's going wrong.
Because you're looking at all the wrong, everything that you don't like or whatever, and that makes you feel even worse because it's not something that you enjoy, but you're focusing on it.
Yeah.
So
and you get caught up in the energy.
Yeah.
And especially if you're surrounded by your environment, is you say, okay, I think Tiffany has mentioned this before, maybe there's people around that start to bother me. And I've gone through this as well. And it's like, why were those people put in place in front of me right now? What is their purpose in my life? That as we like to say, spirit, God, the universe has put these people in front of me to learn something. And we have to pay attention to that. But sometimes when we focus on everything that's going wrong, again, we point the blame, somebody else is doing this, or this experience, or that things aren't working out the way that I want it to, or I expect it to, and we get frustrated. Then it's okay, what am I not learning yet? And we have to learn how to work through our emotions. We have to learn to let things go. Maybe it is our need to be right or have that control. Whatever it is for you, whatever it is for me, it's like it's always a learning process. Yeah.
That's the ego. Like I mentioned earlier, that battle between ego and, being like spirit all one, it fights itself.
Yeah.
So it's an internal battle. So let's go to some of the comments here that Tiffany has a lot of them. So she says, I don't know what it is I'm not seeing. I do hold on to knowing I'm going to shift one day and it will all be worth it, but I just can't fully get through it. I'm exhausted and just wanting to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right in the middle of the storm, but it's like, just keep on going and know, but have that trust that you are going to get through it. And, it's like, look at how you're going to be afterwards, and maybe picture yourself there, visualize yourself there.
Yeah. And sometimes too, especially someone who's going through like an awakening, we talked about earlier about how as we are starting to work through things, we work through emotions, I can start to feel other people's energy, their emotions. When you get in a room and you're standing next to somebody, and just something about that energy, either makes you feel really good, like you love being around these people,
or really yucky,
or it makes you feel really yucky. And it's like, there's something about this person. You don't even have to say anything, that has any eye contact, but just being in the presence, it's like something about you just wants to kind of move away. And then you say something about that person gives me a weird vibe, or something about that person gives me a really good vibe. And that we feel energy. We all feel that. But when you pay more attention and you're more conscious of it, you start to notice that is it really you that you're feeling, or is it somebody else's energy that you're getting caught up into, and it makes you feel like your own? It's like our daughter goes through this a lot. She feels just like Veronica does other people, and a lot of the times she thinks it's her, but when we start to help her and work with her, we realize it's not really her. She's picking up on someone else's energy, and she's feeling what they're feeling.
So I tell her, I go, pay attention to how you felt before. Like if you were feeling good and you were, thinking positive, and then when that happened, like, were you thinking about anything negative, or did you just feel the emotion of like sadness or crying or whatever it is, or anger? And then she'll, she's aware that she wasn't thinking about anything negative, and then all of a sudden it was like this energy that just went through, and she felt it. So she's very aware, and she'll come to us for help with that, and so we'll help guide her through that.
Absolutely. Steven says it's kind of like going live and some glitch happens. Things occur when you expect it least. We've gone through those many times, especially going live. Yeah. And at first, it really bothered me. Like, what's going on here? I've seen other people go through that and how they've reacted and responded to that. Cursing at the internet to. I've seen them, complain about the software. That's the issue. And half the times it was like one time where just the internet or Facebook went down, and like nobody could go live on Facebook, but yet they were complaining to the company, or maybe it's their computer sets. Things happen. But what we've learned to do is we just say, oh, well, It's like things can happen. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
How do we prepare ourselves the next time that it happens?
Yeah.
So if you're going through a new experience right now, you don't know how to get through that, is work your way through that so that way you can prepare yourself for the next time this shows up. You keep yourself calm. You know exactly what to do. It's like having your procedure manual already put in place. But when you don't have one in the beginning, everything can seem so chaotic.
But I think that's it. Like you said, have a procedure manual, but it's really like throw away the manual and just, if something changes with your normal routine, it's like, oh, like, okay, we're doing this today.
Did you just throw away my manual?
I did.
Oh.
Because then when you have a manual, it's like, okay, things have to be this way.
But I need that manual.
But throw away the manual and then you just go. Like, okay, this is happening today. And just embrace that. And it's a change.
This is what I go through at Veronica Love. I'm going through a process or a change. We'll just call it a spiritual growth process, right? And it's like, oh, well, just go through it. What do you mean just go through it?
And Stephen says, inquiring minds want to know, Aaron Garcia. So what has been your experience? Remember, I asked you, so do you want to share your experience? You're like, nope.
Nope.
But that's what we are going to share, because actually that's what you've been sharing. But
yeah, it's part of that growth. For me, it's really understanding more like my true purpose. And I've gone through this over the last few years and just, guiding like what's the direction that I'm meant to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to struggle with this even more in the past of not knowing really what that was and just kind of going with the flow of things. Oh, you should do this, you should do that. And then realize that I wasn't truly satisfied. Mm-hmm. And usually if you not seeing, the big vision I always see in my mind is when you don't see that happening in the present moment, or you don't see the progress and what that can create at an internal level. And that's
what I was talking about earlier, about living in the future.
Yeah.
Because you're not living in the now. You're living 5 years from now, 10 years from now, but you want to see it now.
Yeah. And it's been a practice for me to stay in that present moment, to focus on the now. And whatever I do today, what I do now is going to be the breadcrumbs that lead up to the result that's going to happen tomorrow or in the months from now. But if I don't do anything different, if I don't change my habits, if we all don't change our habits, we're going to get the exact same results that we're getting today as we've been getting the last 10 years, to the next 5-10 years. Mm-hmm. So it's like when we learn to embrace change and we do things a little bit differently. Okay, this isn't working out very well. What's a better way for me to do that? So I think where I get caught up is really sometimes knowing that there needs to be some shift that happens, and sometimes not always having that answer. Mm-hmm. What is that purpose? I always ask the universe, God, like, what do you have in store for me? Show me which direction you want me to go in. And it takes a leap of faith to be able to trust in that. And when it doesn't happen in the next 5 minutes, you have to trust that even more. And so that's part of my spiritual growth is that trusting more. Mm-hmm. And part of what's been told to me is really just to step back and connect even more than I had in the past, because that's where I tend to find a lot of my answers. And I find when I get caught up into something, I start to drift away from that a bit. Yeah. I lose my focus. And this is what was going on yesterday when we were meditating. And it was just, okay, it's like, maybe I just need to take a mental break and get back to my connection, get back to my focus, because that's where all my answers and that's where I grow my intuition. Yeah. And when we talk about, when you see signs, the universe always, guides you wherever it needs to go. And we were just driving, I saw a sign, a billboard that just said, sharpen your skills. And that was a sign for me that said, I need to get back into what really my core is. I need to get back into, or go more into, it's not like I haven't done it, but it's just go even deeper into sharpening our skills to, in our meditations, to tuning into our intuitions, connecting more, getting those answers. Even the work that we do is like, how can we make ourselves even better at what we do best at? Yeah. And that's what that sign was for me.
Yeah. And I like when Aaron goes through these, not that I enjoy the way he is during the stuff, during the process of it, but
look at Tiffany. Tiffany says, it must be good if Veronica keeps giggling about it.
Yeah, because I know that something great is about to happen because of it. And in the moment, it doesn't feel the best because he gets moody and he he gets
let's just get it all out here, right? We're venting today on the show. I could have easily just stopped the show. I would have done that in the past. You know, I'm not in the best energy today. Let's just do the show. I don't want to bring that energy into here, but something said, just do the show regardless.
Yeah, right before doing the show, you were kind of. I didn't want to
breathing. I was cleansing the energy. It's like, okay, I got to center myself. But
yeah, I think this is good though, because it helps. You know, if this can help you guys with whatever you're going through as well, because you know we can't just be like happy-go-lucky all the time. Well, we can, but you know it's good to be vulnerable and to show that, because we go through it as well. So it's like you're not alone. Everybody goes through it.
Yeah, and I find out it's how can I be an even better person today? And that's been a big goal of mine is wanting to just be in that blissful place all the time and showing more compassion. But what's happening is there's a lot of dying off phase that's happening. It's like all the old programming, all belief systems that are still clinging, that are still stuck in there somewhere. It's like that grease stain that's been caked on there for like many years, and you got to get a heavy degreaser to kind of get it off. It doesn't just happen with a cloth and some spray. It's like you need Dawn dish soap. You need some Dawn dish soap. So drink some Dawn dish soap. Don't do that recommendation, please. Tiffany says, speaking of good, energetic, vibrating people, hi, Beth Wilson, Clay, you are one of my favorites. So I guess somebody else is watching. Welcome, awesome. Beth. Thank you for joining us here on the show. Steven says, I love you so much, eh? Thank you very much. I needed that today. You know, we needed you guys today. And he says, I love you, Aaron and Veronica. Thanks for the transparency and the laughs, too.
No, you're welcome.
And we have to laugh at it.
Yeah.
And I love Veronica so much, because it's like Tiffany mentioned, like when I'm going through something, she'll either just giggle or say, oh, this is good. She
like,
doesn't,
how is this good?
She doesn't get caught up into that mood. And it's very difficult to stay in that mood when somebody else is not. Mm-hmm. But how many couples, you know, when someone else is in the mood, it makes the other person in the mood. And then it becomes like this battle. Yeah. And then that just feeds the fire and feeds the fuel. Because
then what happens is both of your vibrations will lower. Like if one's okay, but then the other one, and they get caught up, then your vibrations are going to lower even more, because now both of you are in it together. But if you can keep, you know, your own energy up high, then the other one, they can't stay down there that long. Like they're gonna rise in vibration, because I'm getting goosebumps, because it's like they can't be in that state forever. Yeah. Especially if the other person's not falling into their stuff, you know.
Yeah, and I know it's a process, and you know, I see her doing that. It reminds me, it's a triggering mechanism to say, hey, get out of this state as best as you can, and then I'll be really, really good. I mean, even just doing the shows, like the energy shifts a little bit because we're talking about it. Yeah. Tiffany says, is it normal when you're going through the darkness to have your intuition muted?
Yes, it is.
Pretty much most of the time, because in that dark place, when you're in those emotions, it's like Spirit says, okay, we're close today. And you come back when you feel better.
And it's like you just get clouded, because there's all this negative darkness that's clouding, and then you have trouble, you know, tapping into that intuition.
Because when you're tapping into your intuition, you do that through a very calm mind. You know, it's like you got to be very calm. You got to tune in. You got to listen to that inner voice, and it's just that silence, that stillness is where we connect. But when we're going through challenging times, call it darkness, call it highly emotional states, your mind is going chaos, and it's like you're trying to listen to, you know, you're on the phone, you're trying to listen to someone whispering when you got all this music blasting all around you at very high levels, and you're having a hard time hearing that person. That's what it's like when you're trying to tune into your intuition and you're going through a bit of a storm. It's the noise is too loud. You got to learn to turn off the noise first, so you can go back to tuning into your intuition. You might get little glimpses here and there. Yeah. But the moment you get into that calm, relaxed place, this is where meditation really helps. That's when you start to hear it again. It's not like it's gone. You just turn the volume too loud and you can't hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go more to the comments here. Thank you guys for joining with us. And if you guys have any comments, any questions, again, you can put those here into the feed. And if you're just tuning in, you guys are watching Awaken Your Spirit. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez Garcia. And, today we're talking about the ups and downs of spiritual growth.
And let us know, if you guys have gone through these experiences as well, because I know you have. You can't hide it from us because we go through it as well. We're all human. We're all on this world to learn something. We're all going through a experience. We all grow. We all learn. Joshua T. Berglund is joining with us. Says, love EU too.
He said, oops.
Said, oops. He's love you too.
Oh, we love you too, Josh.
Steven says, I like this discussion. My live broadcast just stopped this morning. And I did, like Veronica said, oh, well, on to the next thing.
Yeah, because it doesn't help you to get all upset and bent out of shape because of that. That stuff happens. So it's like just keep moving forward and move on. Oh, well, okay, we're doing something else today.
Yeah. And maybe it wasn't the day. It wasn't the time. Sometimes we have really, really great shows. And sometimes we can say, maybe not the best energy today. But you go through these different modes daily. And it's being mindful to pay attention. And we want to pay attention to our energy. We want to pay attention to how we feel. And because that is part of the growth, it's learning. We learn how can we stay in that calm, blissful state as much as possible. And then when we do go through those challenging storms, like, again, broadcast shut down, or if something's not going the way you expect it to, and you get caught up, or someone's doing something, or something's happened in the world or the economy, is where do you go? Do you go into fight or flight, or do you go to a calm, rest, and relax place? And how do you handle yourself? And that when you're really on that spiritual growth, you're making progress, is you just feel really good. You feel calm. You feel happy most of the time.
Yeah. And, when you're going through that, more than likely there's things that are bothering you. And, just ask yourself that question, why does this bother me so much? And keep asking yourself, and you might figure it out. And if not, that's okay.
See? And even just right now, the mic glitched out and we were just told. Well, here's what we did. And we're back on. See? We never know. So if you guys can still hear us, just let us know. These are the things that can happen. We talk about this stuff, and glitches can happen. And sometimes we have glitches that happen in our life that we don't expect. It's like we're doing really well. And
Tiffany says all audio went out.
Let's just check real quick. Can you turn that up for a second?
Sure.
We're gonna test this real quick. Let us know you guys can hear us yet. And we're back on. All right, we're good.
I think we're on.
No, it's just a time delay. I think when it went out for just a second. So thank you guys for letting us know. But hey, audio goes out, screens go out, but sometimes in our life things go out. And how do we handle ourselves? Do we say, "Oh my God, the audio is out. We got to stop"? And because that's the over exaggeration, but that's sometimes how it feels when I go through those modes. Like, oh my God. And
it's
then
your oh my God moments with Aaron.
I would just sometimes love to see when you watch a movie and just to be in your shoes for a while, just to see me go through one of these processes and just
it's
oh my God.
Watching a movie.
I can just imagine you're going through your mind, or like, here we go again. This is ridiculous.
No. I think what goes through like I mentioned earlier, I know that you're about to break through something and it's going to be better. But sometimes it is kind of like watching a movie, when you get frustrated with certain things. And for me, it's not a really big deal, but for you, I know
it's never a big deal to you.
But for you, I know it really triggers you, but it's just like I step back and just watch and observe. But,
do I look like a child that's throwing a tantrum sometimes? I want to know.
So it's like I let you go through your thing, but then when you're ready to talk, it's like, okay, well, you do understand these things. Well, yeah, and then we work through it, so we figure it out, like what's really the underlying issue that's affecting you. And
it's funny too, because when you get out of that storm, you go back and look at everything that was bothering you before. It's like then you see it from that outside perspective, like, oh my God, I can't believe I reacted in this way or was feeling this way, and how like, why did I allow myself to dwell on this for like so long?
Where was
And
it
just
being a
and
good
all it
baby?
does is just creates misery within you. It doesn't make you feel good. Your
No.
body can start aching. You don't sleep very well.
Boop.
We call it boop boop. You know, it's like you go through those boop boop moments. In fact, we were planning on having a segment of the show. We only have the inspirational moment with Veronica at the beginning, and then like towards the end, Veronica's like, "Why don't we have a boop boop moment with Aaron at, like towards the end?"
That would be too negative.
It would be too. No,
It's kind of funny, but no.
It's funny, but we don't bring negativity here on the show, right? No negativity here on the show. Tiffany's laughing out loud. She's, "Oh my god, this is great, baby Aaron." Could you imagine?
Oh, with the little bonnet and a binky.
And they're like screaming on the floor, just having a tantrum.
Oh,
Big baby Aaron. That's why sometimes it's like we talk about when we're going through a tantrum. It's like go change your diaper. You're just holding on to some stinky load right now that you just need to get rid of. And once it's changed, you feel great. You're back to normal again. Tiffany loves me. Like, thank you for the loves and the support.
My cheeks hurt now.
I think I needed the show. We both needed the show today. Leroy's joining with us. He says, "Hello from Southern Iowa prayer group breaking out of Iowa to Oklahoma, born April 3rd in Storm 2020. Yeah, thank you for joining us here, Leroy. Awesome. And if you guys know that somebody's going through a bit of a process, maybe they're going through their own boop boop moment right now, share this show with them because it just might be something that they need to help them break out of it. Because again, we all go through these experiences. Mm-hmm. We might go through them in a little bit differently, but we all go through them at some point. Yeah. Some at different levels, some are minor, some are major, but we're going to go through those because that's part of our growth process. And we will keep experiencing the same thing if we don't learn from that and grow from it. And that's the key is like, are you growing from it? Are you just allowing it just to happen and staying stuck in you're staying stuck in kindergarten and not moving on to the first grade? And everything is just learning. You pass. Once you pass, you get to move on to the next level and so forth until you can graduate. But when you graduate, there's another level even beyond that. Yep. And that's part of our spiritual growth. And it's just how do you feel on the inside? How are you taken in life? And the better that you feel on a day-to-day basis, it seems like everything will start to happen the way you want it to. But it's allowing that inner part of us to expand and grow and to tell us what it is that we need to learn, what it is we need to heal, what we need to let go of. Yeah. And that's a big process.
It is. And, for me, I think because a lot of the things that happened to me as a child, like the way I was raised, and also I've had a couple near-death experiences, and I think maybe that shifted something within me that maybe didn't take life so serious on certain things. But something as a child that really stuck to me was like treat others the way you want to be treated, and also not using that word hate. There was something that happened because we had this babysitter when we were younger, and I would say it was torture. Like to treat kids that way was torture. It was like the babysitter would be in her room watching who knows what, like soap operas, and we were left out in the living room, and her kids would come out and they would torture us pretty much because like we weren't allowed to look at them. We'd have to put our head down, and my neck would start to hurt so much just because of having my head in one position. I asked for a glass of water. They got a cup and gave me dirty sink water to drink. And then I remember one time being there at the house, and I remember in my mind saying, I hate you. And then I heard a voice that said, "Oh, hate is such a strong, bad word. Like, don't say that." Mm-hmm. And so from that moment on, I didn't, I was like, oh, like that's not a good word. So I wouldn't use that word, towards other people, like I hate you and things like that. So I don't feel like that, like hate energy towards anybody, regardless of what they've done, even like these people. So it's like I learned from a young age certain things, and even with my dad being abusive to us, to my mom, I never hated him because of it. It was like I understand that he had his own internal issues, and it was what it was in that moment. And and I just, in the moments when I was getting hit or whatever, I remember thinking like, oh, when is this going to be over? But I never had that like strong resentment or anger towards him, even though he did what he did. So it's like learning to kind of like have that compassion towards other people. And I understand where he came from. So it's just having compassion for him and knowing that he was suffering a lot on the inside.
And part of it was a learning growth process as well as is learning to clear a lot of that energy that might have been stuck in there that didn't get expressed. And we worked a lot of that together over the last few years. Is let's clear up any old stuff that still might be there. And the more that we healed within us, it's like we can look at these experiences as growth process, learning process. What was the good that came out of that? Because remember, any experience that you've ever had, all of it was necessary because it's helped you become the person that you are today. And all of the experiences are going to happen in the future are all going to be there so you can be a better person for tomorrow in the future. And so it's all there to help us on this learning process. And whatever that we came here to learn, what our purpose was, like, it's like we like to look at it as, and we've been told, but I like to believe this is, we came to this school of earth to learn a lesson. It's like this time I want to work on being more compassionate to more people.
Have you covered everything?
Have you covered everything? Positive. There's a story we'll share with you guys later, but it's like when you haven't learned the lesson, that's when, if you believe in reincarnation, that's what reincarnation is really about. It's like, okay, there's still some lessons that we need to learn each time that we come back here. And, we carry some of that energy even from the past, that, okay, that karma is still here, that actions, the things that we do, the things that we say, and what karma really means, it means action. And it's like what we do today, what we do right now is going to have an effect for tomorrow. And so when we talk about clearing up karma, when we talk about, oh, you got bad karma, it's good karma too, is what are we changing? What habits are we changing? What are we doing differently? Are we saying things differently? Are we reacting to people differently? And that really is the growth process. The spiritual growth is really becoming a better person, so that way you feel good and happy and loving towards all people. And, there's manuals for all of this, right? There's the good books, and you just learn how to work with that. But this is the training ground. This place where is our training ground of, okay, this message sounds great, but how do I experience it in my own life? And you go through that. And our experience is what really teaches us. Yeah.
And so when you're going through something and it doesn't feel good, if you tell yourself like, okay, this is great because I'm gonna come out a better person because of it, and I'm gonna grow as a person. And it's like, get excited for that growth and get excited to let go and clear whatever it is you're holding on to.
Yeah, Tiffany says lots of karmic lessons and debts coming up, and she says for the world, in fact.
Yeah.
There's our own personal karma. There's the world mass consciousness karma, and it's like everything that we all do is going to have an effect, and so we have to pay attention to that. And we can change everything if everybody gets on the same page, at least in the spirit of loving. But sometimes it shows up in a way we didn't even expect. And sometimes we can say that things are terrible, they're going wrong or bad. But again, even for the world to make a positive change, sometimes we need to be shooken up a little bit.
Yeah.
And we go through that bit of a darkness phase, because what that does, it teaches us, I don't like being here. I want to change this. I want to get out of this. Then we need that contrast.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the contrast is necessary for us to know what we want. Because if you didn't have it, you wouldn't really know what you want, because it would be kind of the same thing over and over. But when you see like the opposite of what you want, then it's like, okay, now it kind of guides you to a better understanding of what you do want.
Yeah. And she says, those of us who are waking up right now will be the ones who heal the world from all this darkness, because there's going to be other people that are going to go through their own experience and they don't know how to deal with it. Just like, even in different areas, there's somebody that's gone through a process and gone through the experiences and the hardship to get to where they're at. And somebody wants to go there, and you can learn from that person, whether it's in business, you want to, learn it in an art, in some way, somebody's learned how to do it and they can teach you. And she also says, that's why it's important to stay on our roller coasters and do our healing so that we will be able to help everyone else. Our call of action is coming.
I got the goosebumps.
And
Yes.
I'm glad you brought that up, because it triggered a memory a few years ago when I might have gone through one of those roller coasters or those down moments. And I would, I wonder how many people ever asked this question: why me? Why am I going through this?
Why me?
Boop, boop, right? Why am I going? And the voice that came to me was, because you can. Because you can. Because there's some people who can't. And because you are strong enough to be able to push through that you have a bit of armor, that you're going to get knocked, you're going to get nicked, you're going to get a little injured in the process, but you can survive it. And when you survive and make it to the other side, you become stronger. And for that person who's not strong enough to go through that, you can help guide them and pull them through.
Yeah.
So take that moment as a blessing, because there's many other people that are suffering mentally, suffering emotionally. And when you can help yourself, you help many other people. Yeah.
Yeah, because those people who aren't strong mentally, those are the ones that give up and possibly commit suicide or just go downward spiral, and they give up on life, and they possibly start getting sick and just they deteriorate. But it's up to us to, go through our own stuff so we can help those people.
Absolutely. And so as you're going through these processes in your life, the growth periods, embrace the ups, but also embrace the downs, because it's always going to lead you to something even greater. And that's the best part.
Yeah.
And you want to share that. You want to be able to express, heal from within. And if you guys have challenges, reach out to us, because we help you with this.
Yeah. You know what just popped into my mind?
No, I don't know what popped into your mind.
And it's kind of funny. In Oceanside,
It's kind of funny?
California. Well, for me it is. Laughing at my own mind thoughts. There's this street, like this corner, like two streets. And, and it's one's called ups and one's called downs. So like if you're right there in that corner, you're like, oh, I'm on the corner of ups and downs. It's
which way are you going to turn?
Up or down?
We should go take a picture of that and use that. That's a good one. But it's called ups and downs.
Ups and downs. So it's interesting that we're talking about all that right now.
So what street am I? I'm on the down street right now, or I'm on the up street. But you get to choose which direction you're going to go. And even if you go down the wrong direction, there's always a path that pops you out on the other side. And so everything leads you to where you need to go. So embrace that.
Yeah. I want to read Tiffany's comment. She says, we signed the contracts knowing we are strong enough to go through all this. We are powerful beings, and no matter what, we'll get through it. Read that back to yourself, Tiffany.
Yeah, but did you read the fine print? That like 20-page contract that, it's very, very small, and it's like, and it's very confusing. You will go through
your ups and downs.
It's like the worst tax form you've ever filled out before. It's like, I didn't know I signed for that, but okay, I signed for it, so now I have to go through it.
Yeah, it's like being so excited to come here to Earth, and you forget, all the fine details, like Aaron mentioned, and it's like, oh, you're gonna go through these ups and downs, these challenges, but you're strong enough to get through it. But it's like being in that moment when you're stuck in the storm, where it doesn't feel good, but when you trust and have faith that you will get through it and it will be better.
Yeah. Tiffany says, I feel bad always reaching out to you guys when it gets too big for me to work through. You guys have helped me through some of my biggest blocks.
Don't feel bad, because you're helping yourself get through it, and if we can help you, then that's great.
Yeah. And that's a big learning lesson too, is when you go through a really challenging time, that is the moment, can you be okay asking for help?
Yeah. Because
there's certain things that we just can't do by ourselves. And even us, sometimes myself, like I have Veronica, but sometimes even there's times if she can't help me or I can't help her, there's somebody else that can help the both of us together. And so it's like everybody has a purpose and a skill and a know-how and an experience. And somebody's gone through even more difficult times than we have, and can help us even through what we're going through. So we're here to help each other, and we shouldn't feel bad asking for that help.
Yeah. Always ask for help.
Yeah. So thank you guys for being here with us today on the show. Again, you guys have been watching Awaken Your Spirit. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez Garcia. And we hope you enjoyed, today's episode, and if it's helped you, maybe it can help someone else. So, feel free to share the show.
Absolutely. So again, we are live here every Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. If you guys haven't done so, make sure you subscribe to the show. Turn on the live notification button here in the feed. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on that bell notification so you get reminded each time. And this Friday, we've added a new segment, which will be our numerology Fridays with our guest co-host, Darius Oliver. Darius. I got to get that right. Darius Oliver, who is our numerologist and Vedic astrologer, who we coming in with us, and we're doing a different segment for you guys just on Fridays.
Just for fun. Then
we're going to do those at 10 a.m. Pacific time this coming Friday. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that post and join us there. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you guys hang in there. All right. Last things, Tiffany says, together we will rise.
Yes, we will.
And it's this great show. Thank you. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Share it, like it. Join us next time. We'll see you guys then.
Have a great day.
Bye.